Well, hello everyone. Ogre27 Kane here today with special guest
Froggo14.
And we're going to do a review of Cat Quest III for the Nintendo Switch. Let's do a brief overview and figure out what this game is all about. Well, this is a great sequel to a fantastic sequel of itself. Cat Quest 1, 2, and 3 are all action role-playing games, with Cat Quest 2 and 3 being multiplayer focused. Me and my daughter Froggo14 really enjoyed playing through this game together, and we're going to start out with the first category, the story. Froggo, go ahead and give us the story.
It started out with these three creatures who found the North Star, and they called themselves the Seekers, and they had their souls attached to the key afterward, and it was their duty to protect it. And they made these three groups, and they were the original chief of the groups, but obviously that moved on because they died.
And then your main character is an offspring of those Seekers, right?
Yes.
So your goal is to go around and obtain these keys to unlock this tower to the North Star and figure out what's going on.
And you're not technically pirates, you're just little cats that are wandering around because you want the North Star and you don't figure out that you have Seeker blood until later.
But you do know that you're somehow connected and you live by the pirate's code, even though no one treats you that way. It's a pretty good story. What'd you think about the side quest characters?
I really did like Captain Meowtalica. I also liked Kid Cat and his story, and I also really like the Fisher guy, on where you have to collect the fish and bring them in the nets, and they're called the Fursome Four.
And the cool part is the side quests are all really well intermingled amongst everything, so they fit naturally with everything that's going on. This character right here, the Pirate King, also makes a pretty awesome nemesis as a main bad guy. But let's move on and stop giving away too many spoilers to the gameplay. So the gameplay in this is very similar to Cat Quest 1 and 2. It's an action role-playing game set in a big open world. The cool part about this game though is that it's all on a giant open ocean and they give you your ship right away. All of the new elements fit in very well and it allows you to explore just about anywhere you want to. Yes, there are going to be enemies with higher levels that are going to cause you to grind to fight in different places you can't go to without certain abilities, if you will. But none of this really hinders the open world aspect of it, and it does truly allow you to explore. Is there anything about the gameplay that you really liked, Froggo?
I really like how you can be both a mage and a fighter, unlike the second one where you had to pick whether you wanted to be the mage or the fighter.
And what's really cool about that is that in this one you can pick and choose which armor, weapons, and item or accessories you want to upgrade with it, so that way they all work in tandem or in unison with each other. It's cool too having two players to where I can be a fire-based character and she can be an ice-based character, or I can be lightning-based, and so on and so forth, and we can work in tandem for our strategies. Now, this game isn't really the deepest in that said aspect, but it is cool to know that we can set up and strategize for tougher fights. The game really does rely heavily on you guys figuring out how you're going to do things, but not too much to the point that it becomes a burden what you need to do. I like the simplicity to the gameplay, but I can see how maybe if you weren't playing it as a two-player experience, it might get a little stale towards the end. So let's move on to the next category now, the controls and audio. So the control scheme in this is an absolute refinement of the first and second ones. After going back and putting a lot of time into the first one, and playing through a little bit more of the second one, we've totally both agreed on this, wouldn't you say, Froggo?
Yes.
Having a dash skill that's a lot more responsive and having items that you can use with that dash skill, such as the one that you've watched a little bit in this video, allow you to really have greater mobility. There are also more items and weapons that increase your speed or attack speed, or allow you the combination to kind of move about the game at your own pace. All of these little things really add up and make the control scheme an enjoyment. Now the audio in this game is a bit different. So the audio in this game really is a joy and a treat, and I love all of the sea shanties and the music to go along with it, but it can get a little repetitive on you after a while. There's not a huge plethora of songs, but the songs that are on here are pretty catchy. They do have a good loop to them, and it takes a good couple minutes to get through each one, so that won't annoy you. But there are a lot of other sound effects going on in the world, such as your weapons and everything else that you're doing. This is kind of going to be hit and miss, and it's going to be totally dependent on your own taste, but I do want to show some of it off because I really feel like it is kind of up to you. I enjoy it, but here we go without further ado. So let's hit combat now. And the combat in this game is, like I said, a refinement of the first and second ones, but there are a lot of new additions and new weapons. There's a new addition of a shield, if you will, which you can attack and block with, but it requires a certain amount of timing, and I'm frankly not a fan of it. I personally enjoyed the sword and the traditional weapons, but my daughter Froggo, she loved the claws. What did you think of the claws, Froggo?
I really like them. I think they work great.
And it was really easy to manipulate between the magic and the attacks, huh?
Yes.
You also have a ranged attack where I chose to use the Meow Sheen Gun, and you chose to use the magic wands, huh, Froggo?
Yeah.
Now what's really neat is this gives you essentially 3 forms of attack that you can turn into different combos. Then you can equip different armor or different accessories which can enhance these, such as elongating the time of shock for lightning or enhancing the freeze ability or fire ability. And everything about this game just screams refinement. I love how it all fits together, and the combat is one of the most redeeming factors that you could possibly imagine. So without further ado, I think we should move on to our next category, and our last category, really, the graphics and animations. So the graphical quality in this game is fantastic to me, and I really think it is an upgrade over the first and second one. Having going back and playing the first one through, it probably has a tiny bit better frame rate, and I will say there may be some small frame pacing issues from time to time, but it's not really a big deal, and once you've played this game for more than 5 or 10 minutes, you will not notice anything like that. I think a lot of that has to do with the level of depth and quality and what they were trying to do, and so much more just going on in the world. Do you have to say anything, Froggo?
Liking art myself, I think this is a big improvement and it is very well done.
I can't argue with that. The artwork in this game is pretty fantastic, and considering that the viewpoint pans out to such a level of depth, you can really appreciate how much more is going on. So let's do conclusion now. So in conclusion, I think this game is an absolute must-buy. Getting it for around $30 and having it complete on the cartridge is always a win for me. But then on top of that, having the whole trilogy now physically is a big win. Is there anything you want to say about this, Froggo?
This is probably my favorite one. It just barely reaches over 2.
It's a great game, and I can't argue with that. In conclusion, go ahead and buy it. Whether you buy it physically or digitally, you won't be disappointed. And I highly recommend playing this game multiplayer, as me and Froggo both had so much fun playing it, we'll probably play it through again a second time. This is a great trilogy and a great game. Well, thank you for watching today's video. It was a blast to make. I upload every single Monday. If you enjoyed this, please like and subscribe, and have a great rest of your day. This is Ogre27 Kane and
Froggo14.
signing out.